Hello and welcome back to my gluten-free kitchen. I am the Deglutenizer, and I know I've been away for a while, so I am back to working at the stadium again. We are preparing for spring training, and so that means I will also have time to publish a new video about every other week or so. And don't forget, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. you can catch me streaming live on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/thedeglutenizer, which will be written somewhere down here, as well as in the description box below. So make sure that you check me out live on Twitch. So today I am revisiting and revamping my Ratatouille recipe. Ratatouille was one of the first things that I published when I started my YouTube channel, and those videos could definitely use an update. So here we are. I'm going to start by getting my broiler set to low, and I do already have the rack in the top third of my oven. Alright, and the first step to Ratatouille is to chop up all of my veggies and put them into bowls for adding in different stages to the final dish. So the first things I'm going to add to my ratatouille are my red and green bell peppers and my medium sweet onion. So to start, for bell peppers, I'm going to cut in half, use my fingers to detach the ribs, and rip out the seed pod and stem. There we go. Same thing on the other side. Now that I've removed the central seed pod and ribs of my pepper, as well as the stem, I'm going to place it cut side down. And looking for a dice, so I'm going to cut into strips first. Rotate the pepper. And once you finish dicing, place your hand and use the side of the blade to scoop your peppers into your bowl. And I'm going to do the same thing on my green pepper. Slice in half and scoop into the bowl. Next up is a medium sweet onion. So, for onion, cut off the top, cut off the root, slice in half, and then remove not just the paper wrapper on the outside, but also the outermost layer, because as I'm sure you can tell, it's still got a lot of that tough cellulose fiber in the outermost skin, or outermost layer, and so that never cooks down properly. Slice parallel to the slice you made to cut your onion in half. Do your short cuts first. Straighten up a bit. Then slice across long way for your dice. Alright, so here are my onion and bell peppers. I want to be sure to go ahead and add my oil, salt, pepper, and a teaspoon of dry thyme. And my full teaspoon measure doesn't fit, so I'm going to do 2 half teaspoons. And I want to go ahead and just give this bowl a toss to get everything well dispersed and coated, and to start breaking up my onion dice. Next up, I've got one very large zucchini. If I had only found smaller zucchinis, I probably would have used two. So, to prep my zucchini, I'm just going to slice off both ends, keeping it flat on the board. I'm going to slice down the middle, and I'm going to put it cut side down. There we go. Separate each half into quarters by drawing a line down the middle with the tip of my knife. And then I'm going to cut this up into some chunks. Okay, basically the same thing for my yellow squash. Cut off both ends. And these were a little bit smaller, so I'm going ahead and using two. Also, I do like the sweetness of the yellow squash. Okay, so slice down the middle. Okay, so draw the knife tip through the center. At the skinny end, I want to keep my knife cuts further apart and get them skinnier as I go through the thicker part of the squash, because I do want them to be as uniform in size as possible, but the squash isn't uniform. And I'm going to drizzle just a little oil over these. A little more. A little salt. And some pepper. Okay, before I get started on my eggplant and tomatoes, I'm going to go ahead and add my peppers and onions to my roasting dish. And I want to make sure that I've got a pretty flat layer. And I'm going to make sure to keep my rubber spatula handy in case I start smelling burning, because I am using the broiler. So this is going to go into the oven under the broiler, and I'm going to set a 10-minute alarm. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and work on chopping my eggplant and garlic. So eggplant's going to be pretty similar to everything else. Chop off both ends. Keep my palm flat, my fingers up. Run the knife parallel to the board, and then use the tip of the knife to trace the shape of my eggplant. And then cut across into chunks. So I'm not going to add oil to my eggplant. What I am going to do is, since this is like the next to last thing that I add, if there's any extra oil in the roasting pan, then when I add this, it should help to kind of absorb that and make sure that my ratatouille doesn't come out greasy at the end. Next up, I am going to mince 2 cloves of fresh garlic. Normally, I would go ahead and just use the store-bought minced garlic, but I happen to have some fresh garlic lying around, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. And you have two options. You can either actually smash it, or you can just press down with some weight. So I have my cloves of garlic. What I'm going to do is slice first. Okay, and after I've sliced it, then all I'm going to do is put the tip of my knife on my board and just kind of rock through the pile, seesawing the blade up and down. And I'm just going to go through and do that a few times. Alright, I think that'll do. Alright, and my timer is going off now, so I'm going to set it to repeat, and I'm going to add my squash next. Alright, I've added my squash. It is now time to get this back into the oven underneath the broiler for another 10 minutes. Alright, the final thing that I will need to add to my ratatouille is some fresh tomatoes. To prep these, all I'm going to do is cut off the stem end. Okay, so for plum tomatoes, then you want to cut it in half. Then you want to cut into strips. And cut across to dice. So one more time, palm flat, fingers up. 2 slices parallel to the board. Slice in one direction. Turn. Rearrange, and slice across for my dice. Alright, so here are my tomatoes. I'm going to set those aside. And I'm going to give my board a quick rinse before I chop my herbs. Okay, so my 10 minutes is up. Next I need to add the garlic and eggplant. Alright, so I've stirred in my eggplant and my minced garlic, and I'm going to put this back under the broiler for another 10 minutes. Now I've got about half a bunch of parsley left over from a stream last week, and a few of these have turned a little yellow, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And then what I'm going to do is make sure to actually pluck the parsley leaves off of the stems before I chop my parsley. And this bit is a little tedious. So, same as with the garlic. Put the tip down onto the board, brace the back of the knife, and teeter-totter through. Rearrange the pile. So my alarm just went off. I just added my tomatoes, And my eggplant has already started getting nice and toasty. So, I'm going to get my tomato mixed in. I am also going to switch this from broil to bake at 350. Gorgeous. So, this will go in to bake about 30 minutes. Okay, so I've got my half a bunch of parsley chopped up. I also have 6 smaller basil leaves. If your basil leaves are bigger, you should only use 4 or 5. Or you could use more if you really like basil. But I'm going to roll this up. And chiffonade, which just means to cut into small ribbons. So there we go. There is my chiffonade of basil. So this will be the last step. I will stir it in after the veggies have all baked together for that half hour. And then I will stir these in and it will wilt and become fragrant and delicious. Alright, a bunch of liquids come out of my veggies. And I'm going to add my basil and parsley. Alright, what I do need is a fork so I can test my seasoning. A little more salt. And everything always needs more pepper, because I really like pepper. Okay, and this ratatouille is great as a side to accompany a meat dish, or all on its own. And I particularly enjoy it topped with some crumbled feta. Okay, so my ratatouille is delicious. It actually keeps getting better with each bite. And then on top of that, it will improve in flavor in the fridge over the next few days. So if you have leftovers, then rest assured that it will be even better tomorrow. I definitely recommend that you guys give this one a try in your own kitchens. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you have any requests for me to deglutenize your favorite recipe, make sure that you put that in a comment down below. Alright guys, so I am going to go polish off this bowl, and I will see you guys next time on the Deglutenizer. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, I hope you'll consider supporting me on Patreon for just $2 a month. Patrons receive early access to content, early announcements for upcoming projects, and much more. Help me grow by becoming a patron today.